Guys, today we're looking at a very different product for this channel, but a product that actually wound up coming very much in handy in my house just the other day. We are looking at this guy here, the UGREEN portable power station, the PowerRoam 600. Before we even get into the video properly, check out the price here, $599, but they are running a $150 coupon right now, which is going to bring that price down. 150 bucks off is a pretty darn good deal. And what this thing is, it's basically what you think it is. It is a portable power station that is capable of powering all manner of accessories, items, things in your house, in your camper, when you're traveling, when you're camping, what have you. It is a 680 watt hour bank, but it can actually charge up quite quickly. It goes from 0 to 80% in 50 minutes. So that's way faster than I expected this thing to be. You can literally plug it directly into your, an outlet in your home and charge this thing up really, really fast. And it can actually power appliances up to 1,500 watts using their exclusive U-Turbo technology, and I've tested this stuff out. We're going to be looking at some examples of this here in just a moment. I think what's really impressive here is it's actually rated to have a 10-year life cycle, and they actually give you a 5-year warranty. At this point, let's take a look around the device, and let's take a look at that port selection. So looking at the front of the PowerRoam 600, first we have several things to look at. First off, there is a light that can go between a couple different brightnesses, I believe, as well as SOS and a strobe. I'm not going to demo that because it hurts my eyes and it is quite bright. We also have an Internet of Things button. This is actually how you pair this to their app because, yes, there is an app to control this thing, which is awesome. We have two 100-watt USB-C ports here to charge up your phone, your laptop, or something else that can use USB-C. We also have two USB-A ports that are 22.5 watt. And then we have two barrel plugs here, as well as a plug for, if I can get the cap off here, a cigarette lighter. So like an accessory for your car or something like that. And you'll notice that each of these things will have a little button that turns them off or on. These, I believe, are just always on. But a lot of the other ones, you got to hit a button to actually turn it off or on. And we also have a pretty nice screen up here in the front. You can see here I'm at 75%. You can see what power is going in and how long it will take to charge, as well as what power is going out and how long it's going to last, as well as your overall battery percentage. And if we move this thing and kind of turn, it does weigh about 20 pounds, by the way. It is not a lightweight piece of kit at all. On this other side here, we have, it says 600 watt max, and that is because it is 600 watts. Now you're saying, Shane, you said it was 1,500 watts earlier. That is where their U-Turbo tech kicks in, and this thing can actually jump up and power a 1,500 watt device. This is a fan here that keeps the device nice and cool. You can see here, though, 5 different plugs for this, and you can turn that off or on with that button there. That is on, and that is now off. And around the other side, this is where the device actually is charged. And it actually does come with a really nice bag of cables to keep your stuff organized. Really, really nice touch there. Plug it into the wall. And this here is to plug it into some solar panels, which they actually were kind enough to send out for me to test as well. Now that is a separate purchase, but if you want to use solar panels to keep this thing charged, you can absolutely do that. Now, like I said, the solar panels are a separate purchase. There is a 100 watt version for $299. They actually sent me 2 of these to test out. There's also a 200 watt version, which is much larger, for $499. Now, of course, I've only been able to get my hands on the 100 watt version. What I can tell you is the accordion style fold up quite nicely, and they feel pretty darn premium. I don't really have any complaints about them. They do the job pretty well. And in fact, just the other day, I put them to a pretty good test. I plugged them in, both of them, to my PowerRoam 600, let it go for about an hour, and this is what they did. Okay, so it's been an hour. Let's see what kind of charge we've managed here. We are at 50%. So we've gone from 32% to 50% in an hour. So 32 to 8, that would be 18. Let's just round that up to around 20% an hour, give or take. We've had some cloud cover. Obviously, it's a fairly sunny day, but there have been some clouds kind of going by too, times when that wattage has dropped. But still, let's say something about 20% an hour. That's not too crazy. And it's mostly in line with what they were saying. I believe they quoted 4 hours to a charge, but I'm guessing that is in absolutely perfect conditions. And we're a little bit below that. So again, not too bad. If you don't have the ability to plug this thing in. You're out camping someplace and all you have is the power of the sun and you've got about 5 hours to let it charge. This is pretty useful. So after getting this thing and getting it charged up, the first thing I wanted to do is just try plugging a bunch of different things into it and see what it could do. So the first thing I tried was a ceramic heater. So I took this 1500 watt Lasco tower heater and I plugged it into the PowerRoam 600. Of course, I had to remember I had to turn on those outlets specifically, but once I did this, it turned on and it ran pretty normally. Now, I will say that if I plugged it directly into the wall, I think that it does run just a hair faster. However, that is not to say that it was running poorly. That thing was pumping out pretty much the same amount of heat as it normally would have. I'd say it's something like 90% as good as having it plugged into the wall. If you have this thing during the winter and your power goes out and you need a way to run a heater, this thing is absolutely going to do the job. So the next thing I thought of, if my power went out during a cold time of the year, I have a couple of leopard geckos that have lights and heaters running. So I figured what would happen if I unplug those and plug those directly into this PowerRoam as well. How well would that work? And the answer is absolutely beautifully. It would power those just fine. And as you can see there, I'd get about 20 hours. So almost a full day of power being able to be supplied to those reptiles in a pinch. At that point, I thought, let's just go to like a ridiculous level. There's a power strip in my living room that powers my television, which then also powers my Chromecast with Google TV. My sound bar, there is a beta fish next to that with, I believe there's a heater in there, and there's an air pump, and there's a filter running. All kinds of stuff plugged into that power strip. I unplugged it from the wall, plugged it into the PowerRoam, turned it on, and fired that stuff up, and it worked perfectly fine. I was able to turn on a YouTube video, start watching TV, everything's fine. And as you can see there, I was going to get almost 4 hours of battery life doing this. So I can imagine being camping or something like that. Maybe you've got a little TV with you, plug it into this thing, and a smaller TV by itself is going to be able to run for a much longer amount of time. But at any rate, it's handling all of this very, very well. But I mentioned that something had occurred where this thing suddenly became much more useful to me than I was anticipating. For whatever reason yesterday, our power just went out at random, and it was out for a little over an hour. Now, typically, this means that boredom is going to ensue quite quickly because my house is a great blocker of all cell signal. I can step into the front of the backyard and my signal's fine, but inside the house it is terrible, and it just makes for an annoying time. Maybe you want to grab a laptop or a tablet and watch a video, watch TV, do your normal things, and distract yourself from the fact that you have no electricity. Well, your cell service is just not all that great. So what did I do? I took my PowerRoam and I plugged my intranet into it, my modem, which is not really a modem because it's fiber. There's a different name for that escapes me. But anyways, plugged my modem into the PowerRoam, plugged my router into the PowerRoam, and fired my internet back up, and we were fully connected and ready to go. I actually even plugged the lamp into it to give us some light in that room, and it was working brilliantly. Now, I did mention earlier that there is an app. So you can go to the Play Store, download the UGREEN app. I think there's even a QR code in some of the instructions, and this is what you're going to be greeted with. At this point, remember that Internet of Things button on the front of the PowerRoam. You're going to want to press that. It'll start blinking, and you can then connect. So let's click Add New Device, and it should pop up here. So you can see here, it's asking you, is that flashing on the screen? It is for me, so we're going to tick that box. Click on Next. There it is. You can choose Bluetooth or Wi-Fi for your connection. We're just going to go with Bluetooth because it's in the same room with me. It should connect here in just a moment, and we should get a really nice readout of what's going on with this power station, and actually a surprising amount of control. So there is our overall charge. If we scroll down, we can see the input, the output, the discharge time. You can toggle that U-turbo on or off. You can actually turn your USB ports on or off, control the flashlight. If we jump into the settings, you can see there are several other things in here as well. A child safety lock, which is really nice. You can turn those audio tones off or on. There's actually one other feature that I have not mentioned here as well, which is basically a feature where if this thing is fully discharged, it's basically dead, it will reserve enough power to still be able to charge your phone, sort of like an emergency mode. So let's say your phone's dead. Oh no, my PowerRoam's dead. Actually, it's not. There's enough power in there to get your phone running to make that phone call that could potentially save your life. That is very, very cool as well. The only weird thing about the app for me has been the fact that I've had to go through this process every time. You would think it would just remember my PowerRoam. I would turn it on, it would connect to my phone and be off and running. But every time I power it on, I have to go through this process again. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be happening or not. It's not a huge deal, but it definitely is a little bit annoying and keeps the app experience for me from being as good as it possibly could be. So where does that leave me for a conclusion? Overall, I think that this thing is really nice, actually. It's a really well thought out, well executed power station. It might not be the cheapest on the market, although with that coupon taking it from $600 down to $450, it is in a pretty darn good price point, and there's a lot of features. There's only a few things I would potentially tweak about it. I'd love to see more USB ports, right? There's 2 USB-C to Cs, and there's 2 USB-As. Maybe let's put one more of each of those on there. Let's get up to 6 or something like that. That would potentially be a cool thing to add to it. But other than that, this thing is pretty rock solid, and I can tell you this for sure. Anytime I'm going on a long trip, that thing is going to be in the back of my car. Anytime we go camping or something like that, it is coming along with me. And in instances like yesterday, when the power goes out, I'm going to be plugging this thing into my internet to a couple of lamps, and I'm going to be living as though the power really isn't out. So guys, there will be some links in the description. They'll be labeled as affiliate if they are. If you use the affiliate link to purchase this thing, it's going to help support the channel, so definitely keep that in mind. Big shout out and thanks to UGREEN for sending all of this over for me to test out. As usual, no money has changed hands for this review, and UGREEN is seeing this review at the exact same time as everyone else. Guys, subscribe for more content just like this, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.